Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hey everybody, welcome to You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul. It's great to have you on this Monday. We might be having a technical issue. I'm not sure, but I will try to move forward with it. My topic for tonight. Okay, I think I heard a little feedback there. My topic for tonight is going to be my journey, and again, my journey with with benzos. I started on benzodiazepines probably about 17 years ago. And it was mainly for depression and also for my inability to sleep. I had a lot of trouble with uh, trying to fall asleep, also trying to stay asleep. And it was something that was really helpful for a long time. Now, I want to preface this by saying I'm not a doctor. I don't have a medical degree, and I'm just telling you what I've been going through since I've gotten off of it. So I started again about 17 years ago, and it's something that, as I said, helped me a lot. But I wanted to get to a point where I didn't need to take it anymore. And I started with Klonopin, probably, like I said, 17 years ago, moved on to diazepam, which is Valium. That's just another name for Valium. And I didn't realize how hard it would be to be on them for such a long period of time. My body really got used to being on medications. And I know that long-term use, or at least I found out later that long-term use is a problem. And I wanted to try to get to a point where I didn't have to worry about that anymore. And again, 17 years is a long time, so it already had been a while. Starting in about November, early November, I started to wean off of the benzos. I was taking, I think, 15 milligrams, 5 milligrams in the morning and 10 milligrams at night for a total of 15. And then we started to taper back. I went from 15 to 10, 5 milligrams in the morning, 5 milligrams at night. And then I stopped taking the morning dosage. So I was taking 5 milligrams at night. And then I finally got back to 2.5 and then off completely. One of the things that I when I first get off them, I was feeling okay. I really didn't notice much of a difference. But I started to find that I was having trouble with stomach pain, cramping, and I never knew that drugs would have any effect on my stomach at all. Because time on, it wasn't just the stomach issues. I was starting to have slurred speech, what you would call aphasia, which I'm still having a little bit of trouble with now, trying to come up with words. Um, and it's happening right now, where I sometimes can't find the word that I want to say, or I might say two words at the same time. So I kind of stumble over the what I'm trying to say. And I started to try to figure out what was going on. Of course, when that stuff happens to you out of the blue, you worry. You wonder what's going on. Am I having strokes? Am I having, do I have a brain tumor? Is there something that's going on that's really dangerous? And I looked up on AI, ChatGPT, what the side effects were from getting off of benzos. And it turns out there are a lot. And I was experiencing a ton of them. Again, the stomach pain, aphasia, not being able to sleep well at night, panic attacks, worries during the day, tremors. What else? The nightmares that are just so vivid, they shake you out of his sleep. And one of the things that I didn't realize was how long this withdrawal can take. It literally can take a year or more in some cases. Now, that's not everybody. Some people, the withdrawal only lasts a few months. Uh, I'm hoping that's my case, that it's just a few months, but it could be more than that. It could be, like I said, a year or even more. That's kind of scary to think of. But I guess I'm a little frustrated that I was prescribed these medications without knowing what the long-term effects would be. If I had been on these medications for, let's say, a couple of months, then the withdrawal wouldn't be that bad. It would take probably a week or 2, maybe 3 weeks for it to get out of my system, and then I would be able to just go on and be normal. But because I've been on them for so many years, 17 years, it's not that easy. Once it's out of my system, my body has to get used to being off of that medication. So my central nervous system, from what I've researched, is trying to remember how to live and how to operate without that medication. And like I said, it's tough. I mean, it can be really, really hard when you're having dizziness and all the other things that I mentioned before. Even things like frequent urination, sores in your mouth. I mean, things that I never ever would have thought have anything to do with use of benzos and coming off of the benzos. I do realize that I needed those medications when I was on them, especially early on. When I'm going back to, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, I needed to use them to be able to sleep, to be able to get through life because depression and anxiety were so strong. It was something that was necessary. So I'm at a crossroads. I have to decide whether I want to continue staying off of the medication and struggling with the withdrawal, or just go back on the medication and stay on it as long as forever, maybe. And I've chosen not to. I've chosen to stick it out as hard as this is, so that I could be free of it, so that I don't no longer have to worry about taking it. Because I know some of the research says, and it's not 100% that this is true, but a lot of research says that there could be worries about dementia from long-term use of benzodiazepines. Science is not perfect. We know that. But I'd rather play it safe and make sure that, I get off of these drugs instead of trying to stay on them, if I can do it. And I think I can. It's amazing to me that last year at this time, I was still on this medication. I was so much more depressed than I am now. I'm feeling really good. I haven't had much depression over the last several months after a really, really tough year last year. Not much has changed as far as my everyday life. I still have the same issues that I had before. I still go through a divorce, selling a house that we lived in for a long time, trying to put my kids through college, my business not doing as well as it did before, my charity struggling. There are so many things that are on my plate that, are painful, but at the same time, um, I was given tools over the summer that have allowed me to adapt to things much better than I was able to before. So in some ways, as bad as last year was, and it was bad, this might have been a blessing because that was the impetus for me to have the tools, to get the tools that allow me to now try to get rid of this medication, try to get off of it. Now, with that said, I know a lot of people will demonize medication. I'm not here to do that because, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not somebody who's an expert in this. Obviously, the less medication you can be on, the better, if that's possible. Somebody who's severely depressed, somebody who's severely anxious, somebody who is fighting insomnia might need the benzo. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't regret that I was on them. Now, again, I wish I had known what withdrawal would be like since I was on them for so long. But certainly, when they were prescribed, they were definitely necessary. I guess the reason why I want to talk about this is because there are probably many medications that cause these kind of withdrawal symptoms. Maybe not exactly the same symptoms, but similar symptoms, symptoms that are scary when you're dizzy, when your equilibrium is off, when your vision is a little bit off, when you have sores in your mouth, when you frequent urination, um, all these different things. Tremors. Of course, you jump to the worst possible conclusion. And I, I would hope that people would now know, if you're watching this, if you're on this kind of medication, that it's not something to be afraid of. It's certainly something that's hard to deal with. It's not fun. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying that it's a good time, but certainly it's nice to know that this is temporary. This is not my body breaking down. It's not my body failing me. It's actually my body healing and starting to move on from this medication. I put this out on Facebook to because people have been asking me. They said, are you okay? You notice that you stumble a little bit. We notice that you are having trouble finding words. We notice that your memory is not as good. All these different things that for people when they see it, they were a little surprised. Why was I almost like thick tongued, not able to speak as clearly as I did before? And I had to address it. It was something that I wanted to make sure people knew that I was okay. That it's not a dangerous thing, and it's important for people to understand that um, medicine comes with side effects, and as bad as side effects might be, sometimes you have to deal with them. When I had ulcerative colitis, I was on a ton of medication. One of the medications was now Imuran was given to me because it's an ulcerative colitis is an autoimmune disease. Imuran helps dial back the immune system. That's why I was given the Imuran. Now, one of the side effects of Imuran is the possibility of lymphoma. Obviously, you don't want to trade ulcerative colitis for cancer. Nobody wants to make that trade. So I talked to my doctor about it. And I remember one of the things that scared me the most was the fact that you couldn't allow somebody else to touch that medication. And if you handle that medication, it said on the bottle to wash your hands very thoroughly before touching anyone else. And obviously, when you're putting something in your mouth and swallowing something every single day, and that's what it says on the bottle, don't touch anyone. Don't let anybody touch this medication. Don't let anybody handle this medication. Of course, it's going to make you think, well, how strong is this? What could it possibly be doing? So I went to the doctor and I said to him being the expert, what is the upshot of me taking this? What would happen if I didn't take it? And what are the chances that I'm going to wind up with lymphoma or whatever else could happen with the side effects from the medication? And what he said to me was, you have 2 choices. He said you could take the medication and risk lymphoma, but that risk is 2 in, I think it was 10,000. So 1 in 5,000. So what, 0.0001%, whatever that comes out to. So it's a very, very remote chance that I was gonna get lymphoma from the medication, as opposed to 100% chance that if I did not take the medication, that the ulcerative colitis was going to wreck my life. I wouldn't be able to leave the house. I wouldn't be able to operate as a human being, wouldn't be able to be a dad, wouldn't be able to work, wouldn't be able to do anything. So I made a choice to take the medication and risk lymphoma, knowing that the chances were low, but if I didn't take the medication, the chances of being pretty much decimated by ulcerative colitis was almost 100%, if not 100%. So the same idea with the benzos. Certainly, if I had known the long-term risk, but I tried to get off it a little bit earlier, sure, absolutely. I would have tried to see if I could get off them, uh, in 2 years or 3 years instead of 17. But at the same time, when they were prescribed, I made the right choice by taking them, even though I didn't know exactly what that entailed. And when I posted this on Facebook, the reaction from a lot of people was, first of all, most people were very, uh, everyone was, um, positive. They were behind me. They thought that, it was good that I shared that. They were behind me as far as supporting me and saying, we get it. We know you're struggling, but thanks for sharing your story. Uh, and the other side of it was I found some people who had been through this before, and they talked about being thankful that I shared this, but also the fact that some people don't are not able to really withstand it the way that I have. Some people wind up with tardive dyskinesia. Some of you might have heard that before. Medications for depression and anxiety sometimes cause tardive dyskinesia. Tardive dyskinesia are involuntary movements of the face and other parts of the body, almost like tics, that are impossible to control. Most people who take these medications do not get tardive dyskinesia, but some people do. Again, what do you do? Do you take the medication knowing that you have a possibility of getting tardive dyskinesia, or do you not take the medication knowing that depression and anxiety is going to keep you chained to the house, is going to keep you crippled? I mean, that's everyone's own decision. I'm not telling you one way or the other. I'm saying if it's my decision, I would take the chance of taking this all over again. But one of the people who saw my post is somebody I don't know, and she has a Facebook page about getting off of these medications, and in particular, benzo withdrawal. And one of the things that she said, which is really important, is make sure that when you talk about you getting better, that you don't make it sound like everyone will recover in the same way. So, in essence, what she's saying is not everyone is going to be able to withstand what's going on to me as well as I'm doing right now. Now, I'm not saying that there are not days where I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness, just take a pill and that'll get rid of all these symptoms. You'll feel so much better." Yeah, I mean, there are times when I look at the bottle and just pop one in. But do I really want to start all over again? No, I don't. I don't want to start all over again and have to go through this at some point in my life down the road. It's time. It's time. Because of what I was able to accomplish over the summer and over this fall, I'm lucky to be in a position to do this. I'm not saying don't take these medications because, again, I don't have the right to do that. I'm not a doctor. I believe in medications. I believe in pharmaceuticals. I believe that there are some uh, um, natural medicines, natural herbs, natural uh, all different kinds of things, homeopathic cures. Maybe not. I shouldn't say cures. Maybe homeopathic medicines that help people handle the side effects from or the effects of depression or whatever else it is. We had something similar to this in 2020, and people are still talking about it today. We had the COVID pandemic, and there were a lot of people who felt that vaccines were great, and there were a lot of people who felt that vaccines were not. And everybody gets to make that decision. Everybody gets to decide what they're going to put in their body. I get that. And do I believe that there were some people who got sick from the vaccines, as they've reported? The majority of people, do I believe that the majority of people have serious side effects? No, I don't. I don't. Now, why did I make the decision to take those medications? Well, because I talked to my doctors. I didn't make that decision on my own. I asked my doctors, especially my GI, Dr. Prieto, who knows what I've been through. And he said, look, you absolutely have to take it. He said, because if you get COVID and you don't have the vaccine, you have an autoimmune issue already. You don't want to be in a position where you're trying to fight that. And he also got the vaccine. And this is a very educated, uh, one of the most preeminent GIs in the country, certainly in this area. And what choice did I have? Was I gonna dispute what he said? I didn't think that was a good idea. Why do I trust him so much? Because in 2002, or I'm sorry, 2003, I was on the verge of death. I couldn't function anymore. I lost 50 pounds in 3 months. I was bleeding internally. I was very, very sick. And within 6, 7 days in the hospital, he got me back to at least some semblance of health. I gained 20 some pounds in 7 days just from IVs and being fed intravenously. And it was felt to me miraculous. Now to him, it was probably just a day's work, or a week's worth work. But for me, it was unbelievable that I went from being virtually on the step of death, doorstep of death, and being able to walk out of that hospital and eat food for the first time in weeks and months. So yeah, I'm going to listen to his opinion. I'm gonna take what he says to heart. He says the same thing about the uh, flu vaccine. He says, "Look, you got to take it. You got to take it every year. Of course, you don't have to, but I always ask him if this were your son or if this were yourself or any other family member, what would you advise?" And he said, "Look, for me, it's a no brainer. You take it. You take the vaccine." Yeah, if I got sick from that vaccine, would I blame him for that? No, not at all, because I you're playing the odds, and that's all you can do is play the odds. You don't have any other choice. If you're playing blackjack and the dealer's showing a 6, you have to believe that's a 16. You gotta believe he's got a face card underneath. And if you're showing 12, you gotta stick because you're playing the odds. You're playing the odds. And does that guarantee a win? No, not at all. Because let's say there's a 4 underneath, not a face card. Now the dealer's got 10, 10 more, you lost. Now, did that mean that you made the wrong decision? No, it's not the wrong decision. It was the right decision based on the odds. That doesn't mean that you're going to win 100% of the time. If it did, then the casinos will go out of business. And that's just the way it is. You play the odds every day. When you get in a car, you play the odds. What are the odds you're going to get somewhere safely? Very, very high. What are the odds that you're not? Low. But for some people, it does happen. I've lost a few people that I know to car accidents. But what's the alternative? Are you gonna say, "Well, you know what? I'm not gonna drive anymore because I could get hurt or killed in a car accident." What do? Do you not live your life? Now, things that seem unnecessarily dangerous can be pretty safe. Things like skydiving. Skydiving is, by definition, very safe. The chances of dying are less than 1%. Is it scary to jump out of a plane? Sure, but it doesn't mean that it's as dangerous as people make it out. Now, the same thing with these benzos. Yeah, it's gonna be hard if you're on them for a long period of time to get off them, no doubt about it. But if you're crippled by depression, anxiety, or other mental health disorders like OCD, which I also have OCD, these medications can be very necessary. I wish they weren't. I wish they weren't necessary. I wish there was a way that you could have medications that had no side effects at all, but that's not realistic. That's not something that's ever gonna be possible. Always gonna be people who react differently. Look, food, peanuts. Some people can eat peanut. I eat peanuts. I eat peanut butter, and all kinds of peanut products. I have no problem with that. I have a cousin who would die of anaphylaxis from peanuts. Now, does that mean peanuts aren't safe? Well, for the majority of people, yeah, peanuts are safe. For a small minority of people, though, peanuts can be deadly. Bee stings, same thing. Some people get stung by a bee, no big deal. It hurts, but you just get the stinger out. You put a little medicine on it, topical cream, you're done. You just walk away. For some people, they got to get it to an EpiPen immediately or to an emergency room immediately. Otherwise, they're not going to survive it. Everything can have side effects. Why did I get colitis in the first place? What are the reasons? We don't know. Nobody knows. I know that we want science to be perfect, and we're actually victims of our own success because we're so good at everything in the scientific community. And when I say we, I'm talking about we as a whole, not me personally. Because medication has come so far, and because it's been so successful in healing, people want it to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfect, and things change. There was a time where doctors said that 4 out of 5 doctors recommend Camels or whatever cigarettes it was in the 50s because smoking these cigarettes would lower your stress and make you more healthy. 4 out of 5 doctors. Now we know that cigarette smoking is terrible for you. There's no doubt about that now. Back in the 50s, they didn't have the same information that they have today. That's why science changes. We learn as we go. It's not that they were wrong, they were right at the time with the information that they had. But more study goes on, and we learn more things. They learn more things. And then they make different decisions based on that. Will I wind up with dementia someday from the benzos? I have no idea. Will the next set of studies that come out say that you have a 30% higher likelihood of getting dementia from benzos? I guess it's possible, but it's also possible that they might say, after more study, we found there is no link between benzos and dementia. I don't know. Hey, Claire, I see Claire's joined us. Welcome, Claire. She's here every week, so I appreciate that, Claire. Thanks for your support. Um, I I'm not going to spend my time worrying about it. I could. I could think, wow, I was on it for a very long time, 17 years, more than most people, and now I'm a shoo-in. I'm a shoo-in for dementia. Well, I can't control it now. And again, I'm not angry at the doctors for prescribing what they thought was necessary at the time. It's okay. And I did what I was told by an expert. Claire, thank you. She said I'm doing amazing. Yeah, I mean, I really feel like I am. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say to everybody, "This is great." Being nauseous throughout the day, off and on, that's not fun. Tunnel vision's not fun. Frequent urination's not fun. Um, Bloated stomach, they call it benzo belly. It actually has a definition, benzo belly, where you're bloated and you're extended and it's painful. Yeah, Claire says Zofran. Yes, I have taken that before. Zofran does help with nausea. Absolutely. Uh, the headaches sometimes are really, really bad, but then they go away. Um, you know, I'm not sleeping well, and that's tough. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, you know what, you're just tired. Not really. When you have insomnia, it's a lot different than just being tired. It's more of a profound exhaustion where you are just completely unable to shake the feeling of being exhausted. And that's hard to deal with when you have to try to work, you have to drive, and you have to function. It's not easy. But I'm choosing to deal with all that because I want to be done with it. I want the benzos to be out of my life. I want to be able to have control. I do not feel like a drug addict. I did not give these drugs to myself. Thank you, Claire. Be proud of yourself. I am. I appreciate that, but I am. I'm proud of being able to do this. Um, I will say this though. I get it where people are addicted to things now more than ever because the side effects of withdrawal really are real. So people who are on heroin, I can only imagine. I have somewhat of an idea, I guess, from this, but I can't really get an idea of exactly what it's like. But I'm sure people who are withdrawing from heroin, the thought of just taking another shot to get rid of the excuse me, to get rid of the withdrawal symptoms has got to be something that's on their mind constantly. You don't want to have to feel that way forever, and it won't be forever. Now, again, I might have a whole year to go, or at least 7, 8 months. I'm not looking forward to that. It's not something that I'm saying, "Oh, this is gonna be wonderful." But once I'm through it, it'll have been worth it. I'll have g proven to myself that I can get through it. I'll have a probably better health by not being on it. My nervous system will be normalized, it'll be healed, and I'll be, on a road to recovery. And that's what my hope is, that I'll get through it fine. So anybody who's going through this kind of thing, just it's not something to be afraid of. It's something that you just want to know. I didn't know. I had no idea why my stomach was hurting so bad. I had no idea. I thought maybe it was Crohn's disease. I thought maybe I had something wrong with my stomach itself. I had no idea. Some of the symptoms are similar to inflammatory bowel disease. Some of them aren't. I've done shows about AI, and I am very open about the idea that AI has some drawbacks and some very big drawbacks. We're going to lose a lot of people. A lot of people are going to lose their ability to think on their own because they're going to rely on artificial intelligence. That's going to happen. As much as we don't want it to happen, that's going to happen. Jobs will be lost to AI. That's going to happen. There's no way around that. But we don't have a choice. It's here. It's part of our lives. So the positive was that I was able to go on ChatGPT. And there are tons of them. ChatGPT is just one. There's Gemini, ChatGPT. Microsoft has their own with Copilot. There are tons and tons and tons of them out there, and it's only going to become more. My point is, in this case, the AI that I use, ChatGPT, put my mind at ease because I didn't know that what I was experiencing was withdrawal. If you have to accept the bad that comes with technology, then take the good too. You don't have a choice. It's not going away. So I'm in a lot of ways, I'm thankful that I had that at my disposal because I was able to type in these symptoms and find out this is pretty normal, especially for someone who's been on it for as long as I have. It's not something that you want to be on, but if you have to be, you have to be. So Claire just put in, the doctor didn't tell you any or all symptoms you could experience with this process, in this process. No, no, he did not tell me. So I went into this kind of blind. They said wean off. What I'm going to do, and that's the key word, wean. If you don't wean off, you could wind up in a much worse situation than I was. Seizures, possibly. So if you stop cold turkey, it is very, very dangerous. Seizures are possible, and again, possibly death. So you have to wean off them. So if your doctor is talking about getting off of benzodiazepines, definitely make sure you talk to them, wean off, and not just drop them completely. I'm sure they'll tell you that. My doctor said the same thing. Don't just stop taking it, break it down. So 15 milligrams went down to 10, went down to 5, went down to a half, 2.5, and then finally got off of it. And Claire said, it's not cool, which it isn't, and people should be followed. Yeah, I'm going to see my doctor tomorrow, and I'm going to tell him what's going on with the symptoms, and hopefully he'll be more open with future patients who are on benzos about what it's going to be like when they come off of it. Again, I can't tell you that everyone's going to go and have the same problems I'm having. I hope they don't, but to be prepared is good. To find out, to know ahead of time what you might experience. But Dr. Jacqueline and I were talking before the show, and we, she made a good point. She said, make sure when you go on, you tell people that you're not a doctor and that this is your own personal uh, situation. That's exactly the point. Everybody's different. Some people, it takes years of withdrawal before they're back to normal. That's worst case scenario. I'm not projecting that to happen. I don't know if it will, but I'm not going to worry about it. But it's possible. Other people in 2 months might be okay. Everybody's different. Everybody's genetic makeup is different. Everybody's tolerance is different. If you're on it for 5 years, it's going to probably be less of a problem than it is for me, who's been on it for 17 years. That's a big difference. It's not, I think what we get locked into is that if something can be taken, that it must have no side effects. If the doctor's prescribing this, then it's got to be safe. Yes, for the most part, these drugs are necessary. I'm not knocking that. And I'm not trying to downplay that. I've taken a lot of medications in my life. If not for the medications, either A, I would not be here, or B, I would be here but very sick and not in any shape to do a TV show, not in any shape to work. I would be disabled. And that's neither one are good, obviously. You don't want to be disabled, you don't want to pass away at a young age. I was 28 years old when I was 27 years old when I was first diagnosed, and 28 when I really got sick. So yeah, it's not anything I'm going through right now. People wonder why I stutter or the right stutter sometimes, or can't find the word, or can't remember something, or get lost, can't find the car where I park. All things that are kind of scary. But if you know why they're happening, it's not as scary. Every medication that you take is going to have side effects. Every food that you eat is going to have side effects. Every everything you breathe is going to have side effects. It just is what it is. But just know that most of the time, when you're on these medications and you're coming off, you will have some sort of withdrawal. But it very likely will not be a disaster, and it's not permanent. It's something that will last a little while and then it will stop. So I just wanted to address that, on Facebook and just tell people I'm okay. I'm not feeling great, but I'm okay. I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Claire, I want to thank you for chatting in and joining us, Dr. Jacqueline for engineering, and see you next week at the same time. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.